This is your call to action. Get prepared, America. Economy, survival, energy, disasters. This is USAPrepares.com. Informative radio, educational radio. Interact now by emailing instructor@USAPrepares.com or text at 434-390-7953. Class, please take your seats. Now, your instructor, Vincent Finelli.
Everyone all set? Cocked? Locked? Here we go. Your dial set correctly to USAPrepares.com. Broadcasting 2 hours from high atop the Missouri Ozark Mountains. And there's a link to your instructors on the website, USAPrepares.com. Converging threats are confronted daily by our instructors. I'm Vincent Finelli. John is engineering the broadcast. Captain Bill Cirmo is with us. And today we're going to be talking about something that you all need to know about. And the subject is serious preparedness. Very serious. I'm not kidding. We're going to be talking about evacuation. We're going to be talking about what happens during an evacuation. We're going to tell you what happens based on history, human nature. I think this is going to surprise you. It might even frighten you. That's not our intent. Our intent is to make sure that you are aware of what happens so that you won't be a victim to this. Welcome, Captain Bill Cirmo.
Good morning.
Hey, good morning. You know, I guess I was pretty serious there, but, you know, this really is a serious topic.
It is, and it's kind of an eye-opener for folks that don't have an image of what it looks like for an urban area to actually evacuate. Millions of people heading out from one location is quite an event.
Well, you know, as you and I have been talking about this off the air, and Interstate 44 runs east and west through Missouri. And as we were discussing it, I was thinking, okay, we've got on the west side of the state, we've got Kansas City. On the east side, we have St. Louis, our two biggest cities in Missouri. And you know, when things go bad, the grid goes down, the trucks stop running, they're not going to stay there. They're not going to go, hey, listen, this is great because, you know, we'll get front row seats at the game. That's not going to happen. There won't be a game. And we know that the food supplies are on the trucks on the way to the stores. That's where the inventory is. It's on the way. Well, when that stops running, when the electricity stops, when the power grid goes down, the internet goes down, the feeds for radio stations go down, the feeds out from radio stations go down, you'll be in an information vacuum. And people will start looking around wondering what's going on. And they'll leave. They'll leave those urban areas. And they're not going into the center of the city. They'll be coming from the center of the city outward. Bill, let's talk about that. Let's talk about how this happens. How fast does it happen? And what happens to the area that's in the path of this? So we've got an hour to talk about this, and ultimately what we need to do is talk about how do we protect ourselves from this?
Well, the interesting thing is Kansas City and St. Louis are two examples of what the U.S. Census Bureau refers to as urban areas. And these are areas that have a population of greater than 50,000 residents. In the United States, we actually have 497 of these urban areas, and about 71% of the population of America, or about 210 million people, live in one of these 497 areas. When these areas evacuate, it's a mass exodus of people, and we really don't have any modern day examples of what this this mass evacuation will look like. So we actually have to go back in time a little bit, back to World War II. World War II gives us two examples of gigantic evacuations that took place. One in 1941 when the Germans invaded Paris, and the second about 4 years later when the Russians actually invaded from the east and invaded German cities, and they had to evacuate. And what we find is that the evacuations were not linear, in that they were not just a kind of a progression of folks heading down the roadways. What happened was, as this evacuation began from all of these major cities, the evacuation started off, and the leading edge of it started to expand. And it expanded because evacuations are driven by one thing, and that's the search for resources. And these resources that they're looking for are food and water and fuel, basically for their vehicles. So what we found, looking at these evacuations that took place out of Paris and also out of the German cities, was that instead of the evacuation being just linear right down the roadway, it actually took on kind of an arrow shape or a delta shape. And this arrow-shaped evacuation extended 10 to 12 miles on either side of every road that it went down. So instead of being kind of a point, the tip of the spear, what we found was the evacuation was a line about 25 miles wide that stripped all of the resources on either side of any roadway that was being used. And as the evacuation went from one road to the next, as it encountered a crossroad, branches of the evacuation went down on either side of the road and once again expanded out 25 miles in width along this road. So the best analogy that we can find in nature would be a locust swarm. And this locust swarm moves in a linear fashion. They have a long line that devours every resource they can find.
Bill, in Virginia, I lived in a very rural area of Virginia. And the war of northern aggression, the war between the states, the Civil War, whatever the term is that we'd like to use, when the Northerners came down to Virginia, they did that. They looted farms, they burned barns, they burned houses. I mean, okay, yeah, this is war. However, they did things that they probably didn't need to do. One of the examples that is there to this moment today, well over 100 years later, is they set fire to the railroad track that ran through a small town called Drake's Branch. They set fire to the railroad tracks, and then the northern side bent the railroad track so that it could not be used ever again. So they bent the rail so that if the train did come down, it would derail. So what you're saying is, I have a vivid image of this. I have, in Virginia, there is a farm, a very large farm that has a spot on it. It's about 1,100 acres. And they have this area on their farm that they call burnt chimneys. And all that's left as a result of the destruction is just some chimneys. And as you and I were talking about this, that was one of the mental images that I was seeing. There's destruction as a result of this, taking, let me give you another example. Let's say someone wants to take fuel. They need 5 gallons. And they have a way of punching a hole in a fuel tank. Let's say it's a 1,000-gallon tank. History teaches us that they will punch a hole in that tank, and the tank will leak a stream of fuel. They'll take what they need and leave. And there on the ground is wasted fuel. So there's generally a lack of concern about conserving resources. Take what you need and get away. Is that right?
And that's exactly right. And the sheer number of people that are involved in these evacuations will literally strip all of the resources that they can find. As they go through, there's not going to be any kind of a feeling of empathy for the folks that they're stealing from. All they want to do is make sure that they have what they need to keep going. The interesting thing about an evacuation is that the leading edge of that evacuation will continue to what we refer to as leapfrog from one small rural area to the next, and it will continue until they literally run out of resources. Nothing will stop the evacuation except for not having fuel for the vehicles or basically running out of food or water. If we look at some of the information manuals and books that are out there that talk about relocating to different areas that should be safe in the event of these evacuations, what we find is all of these areas that are considered to be good havens, safe havens, are surrounded by deserts or high mountains that will stop the evacuation just because of the lack of resources. So it's a very interesting phenomena that when people pick an area, they're looking for something that is surrounded by large tracts of desert or large tracts of mountain ranges that will deplete the resources for the advancing evacuation.
Let me give you another example, Bill. We haven't talked about this, but I live on a farm and I raised Black Angus cows. A couple of years ago, we found in one of our fields near the road a power pole, and it was lying in our field. It used to be vertical, and what happened was someone came onto our farm with a chainsaw and cut this power pole down. So the power pole was fed from the other side of the road. It's a dirt road that we live on, and there were two power poles that allowed the electricity to go from one side of the road to our side of the road, and then provide power to a barn. And this was years ago, and it was unused. So we did not have a meter there at that barn. The barn's about 3/4 of a mile from our house. Somebody came with a chainsaw and cut down that power pole so that the power lines, the copper power lines that ran across the street, could be reached, so they could cut the power lines and take the copper wire. Now, that is just an example of the good days. Just stealing copper wire, cutting down infrastructure to get $50 to $100 worth of wire. But they did thousands of dollars in damage.
So you think your basement will save your family? Think again. A separate, certified safe room placed in the basement, properly anchored to the floor, offers the best chance of survival and protection. And the best safe room you can buy is at Missouri Storm Shelters. You saw them at USAPrepares.com Expo. Missouri Storm Shelters has the largest selection of certified storm shelters in the world, tested against winds up to 250 miles per hour. That exceeds the EF5 rating. Missouri Storm Shelters meet or exceed FEMA's 320 and 360 recommended standards, and also NSSA and ICC 500 standards. See Missouri Storm Shelters right here in Nixa, Missouri, or online at MissouriStormShelters.com, or call for pricing and details at 417-725-0055, 417-725-0055. Missouri Storm Shelters, because basements won't save your family.
Have you ever felt like the United States government knows way too much about your financial affairs? I continue to hear stories about property seizures, frozen bank accounts, confiscation of stocks and bonds. It makes me wonder if the U.S. citizen will ever again have the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Unfortunately, with the Drug and Money Laundering Act, the IRS Revenue Ruling 6045 of 1984, and the Trading with the Enemy Act and Franklin D. Roosevelt's Executive Order of 1933, some precious metal holdings are subject to government intervention. For this reason, Midas Resources has prepared a report explaining the boundaries of trading precious metals privately. Whether if you have any intention of trading with Midas Resources or not, I have instructed my representatives to give this report out free. Call for your free copy at 1-800-686-2237. When investing, always proceed with caution. Again, call 1-800-686-2237. Exercise your legal right to trade metals privately. 1-800-686-2237.
Class, Captain Bill Cirmo is with us. His last name is spelled C-I-R-M-O. His company, BiboOutfitters.com, B-I-B-O Outfitters.com. And the way you can remember that is bug in, bug out. That's Bibo. Bug in, bug out, Outfitters.com. And we're talking about evacuation. And we're gonna give you the solution during this hour of the broadcast. But we want to tell you exactly what happens. And I mentioned that right here on our farm, we had a live power pole cut down for the copper wire. And these are the good days. And this cutting down of power poles was not unique just to our farm. It wasn't like a retaliation for anything. There was a swath of this. A man was doing this, cutting down the power poles in this part of the Ozarks, and it continued until it just stopped one day. And it stopped when he electrocuted himself. That was the day it stopped. And that's the day they figured out who it was. Okay, you can add to that the poaching. When we first moved to this farm around 2005, there were shots fired all around here. People were poaching on this farm. And it was out of control. It was literally out of control. And what we saw people hunting from their trucks on this dirt road we live on. They would see a deer on our property. They would stop and they would shoot right out of the truck window the deer on our property with total disregard for the cattle or whatever might be behind where they were shooting. Total disregard. Well, we had to stop that. And it wasn't the game warden that stopped it. It was us. We patrolled our farm with AR-15s, 45s, and we were ever present. And just the sight of us outgunning the poachers stopped the poaching. There are no shots fired here on our farm anymore. So if you think that what we're talking about, might not happen, I'm telling you, it's already happened. It's happened to me. Captain Bill Cirmo, back to you.
Thanks very much. The really interesting thing in a survival plan that's going to take into account the fact that we have this potential for this mass evacuation is to know some of the characteristics of this evacuation. And as we discussed the size of it, we can also look at a really important factor of the evacuation, which is the evacuation itself, the leading edge or the front of it, never reverses direction. And what I mean by that is as it progresses out from an urban area, it will be constantly in search of resources. It'll be constantly in search of food, of water, and of fuel. And the folks involved in this evacuation, they understand that the area that they just left is devoid of all of these resources. They're just stripped and there's nothing left. So they know that turning around and going back from where they just came is really kind of pointless. So as the evacuation continues, as it moves outwards from these urban areas, the goal for us as survivors of this is to use this information and come up with a plan and develop a plan that will allow us to avoid the leading edge of the evacuation, yet be able to get back to our property, get back to where we are familiar with, and be behind where the evacuation has already gone through.
Bill, I'm reliving, as you're saying this, I'm reliving events. And when I lived in Virginia, we bought this farm, and right near the road, maybe 150, 200 feet from the road, was this old cabin, like 24 by 24, well over 100 years old, Civil War era cabin. And every once in a while, somebody would stop, hop the fence, hop the electric high tensile fence, and walk into our cabin. And one day I stopped one of these guys and I said, "What are you doing?" He said, "I'm just seeing if there's anything here I need." and this has been going on for years and years and years. People would just take what they need. Now, and those were the good days. That was back in the 90s. I can visualize exactly what you're saying. This swath is total destruction. And by the time these guys were done with that cabin, there was nothing left. Nothing that was usable left. They stripped it bare. That's what you're talking about. But I'm talking about the good days. We're talking about when things go really, really bad. Let's talk about what we need to do to get in front of this, because you certainly don't want to be behind it. We'll be right back.
The human body is extraordinary. Despite all the stresses we inflict upon it, it still works hard to stay in balance. Thousands upon thousands of people rely upon Heart and Body Extract to help their body stay balanced. This excellent 100% natural herbal formula helps maintain healthy blood pressure levels, cleans arteries, promotes good circulation, balances cholesterol, and more. HB Extract, paired with healthy lifestyle choices like good nutrition and exercise, can give you a life free of pain, sickness, and fear. Recapture your youthful vitality and experience your body healing itself with the aid of HB Extract. It's extremely effective and it starts working in just days. Visit hbextract.com to learn more and to read scores of testimonials from satisfied customers. And we've never increased our price in over 10 years. That makes Heart and Body Extract as great a value now as it was the first day we sold it. A healthy heart is a happy heart. Call 866-295-5305 or go to hbextract.com.
We all know that Berkey Water Purification Systems are the most trusted name in water filtration. As an authorized Berkey dealer for over 6 years and serving thousands of satisfied customers, the Berkey Guy offers amazing specials for Berkey Water Filtration Systems. The Berkey Light Systems include a set of self-sterilizing and recleanable black purification elements that purify water by removing chlorine, pathogenic bacteria, cysts, and parasites to non-detectable levels and remove harmful chemicals such as herbicides and pesticides. Order the Berkey Light System today, complete with 2 black Berkey elements for only $231, and the Berkey Guy will ship your order free of charge. With the purchase of a Berkey Light, the Berkey Guy is also offering a set of fluoride and arsenic filters for only $39.99. That's over 30% off the retail price. Call the Berkey Guy at 1-877-886-3653. That's 1-877-886-3653. Or order online at goberkey.com. That's goberkey.com today.
Yeah?
Did you want to see me, sir?
Well, I did, but now that I do, I'm not so sure.
Sir?
Johnson, I got a mission for you that could change your life.
Oh, good, sir.
It involves traveling halfway around the world without so much as half a clue of where you're going or what you're going to do when you get there.
Situation normal, sir?
Uh-huh. But I'll be leading this mission, Johnson, so I'll be telling you what to do.
You, sir?
That's right, Johnson, and I say first things first.
Oh, good plan, sir.
And what I say is first is food. Always remember that, Johnson. Food is a big deal.
Sir, my brother-in-law can give us a really good deal on some surplus MREs.
Johnson, if you've got half a brain and that empty head of yours, you'll call the freeze-dry guy like I did. That food is better for you, it rehydrates faster, and it's good, Johnson, and it keeps for up to 30 years.
Will we be gone that long, sir?
I hope not. Now get your supplies organized and meet me down to the pier at dawn on Sunday. We sail at sunrise.
Yes, sir.
This adventure is brought to you by the Freeze-Dry Guy. Call 866-404-3663 or visit freezedryguy.com.
Class, we're talking about your survival today with Captain Bill Cirmo. And if you want to find his website, it's bibo.outfitters.com. B-I-B-O outfitters.com. Bibo stands for bug in, bug out. And Bill Cirmo invented a trailer to get out of the way, get in front of this evacuation, get to a safe location. And we're going to talk about how to do that. And if you'd like to meet Captain Bill Cirmo, you may at the Get Prepared Expo. He'll be with us. He'll be presenting seminars, and you can ask him all your detailed questions. As a matter of fact, he'll tell you what you need in your trailer to build one. Bill, let's talk about that. What do we need to do to get out of the way?
Well, the main thing for any survival plan is to be able to survive long enough for this evacuation to pass by. And the traditional manuals and books that we have always refer back to our 72-hour bug-out bag. And that's just not going to be enough for surviving this period of time where the evacuation will get past us. So I like to refer to a survival trailer as literally a lifeboat. And the lifeboat is designed to allow us to survive for about a 30-day period while the evacuation is going through our area. The trailer itself is, if we want to look at it from the characteristics of it, is a small trailer. It's a trailer that can be towed by a family van or an SUV. Doesn't require a heavy-duty tow vehicle. It's also a trailer that is of small enough size that can be fit inside of a standard residential garage. And the reason we want to do that is because we want to make sure that we keep our prepping away from prying eyes. Our residents in the local area and our neighbors don't really need to know how we are prepared. So having our trailer inside of a garage ready to go at a moment's notice allows us to be prepared to get out in front of this evacuation, and that's really what we're looking for. If we have to take the time to pack bags and pack up our vehicle and do all the things we need to get ready to evacuate, we may have lost the edge that we need to get out in front of the group.
Bill, as you were saying that, I was thinking about, okay, just get 4 people to go to the mall, for example. Okay, hey, let's go to the mall. All right, let's get ready. And then it takes an hour for everybody to putter around and get ready and just to go to the mall. That is way too long. I mean, what we're talking about is, this is serious. Let's get in the truck, back it up, get in the van, back it up, hook it up to the trailer, and we're gone in 3 minutes. That's what we're talking about, right?
That's exactly right. And having everything that we need in one spot, everything is prepared and ready to go, also means that we're not going to be forgetting essential things that we're going to need as we go along. Just the fact that everything is prepackaged and ready to go also gives us kind of a good feeling, a good sense of security in knowing that our family is going to be protected. There's no doubt that there are situations where a walking bug out is going to be something that's going to be required. There are some drastic situations out there where the only thing we probably can do is to put on our backpack and walk away. But for the majority of the evacuations, most of the folks are going to be evacuating via their bug-out vehicles. So having this trailer with all of our equipment in addition to our vehicle gives us a good kind of a sense of security for our family.
Bill, I was thinking about what some people might be thinking, and I've seen on the way to the meetups every Monday night at Jimmy's Egg. And by the way, we're going to have a meetup on Monday. We're going to be talking about fluoride. We're going to be showing a movie. And we're going to be talking about Bob Estep. So if you're interested in being at that meetup, Monday night, Jimmy's Egg in Springfield, Missouri, we go past this RV dealership, and they've got these very, very fancy diesel. These are like large buses. I mean, like larger than city buses. These motorhomes, if you will. And some people might be thinking that that's the way to go. I don't think that's the way to go. You're going to have to snake in and snake out and navigate and go through terrain that might be pretty tough. And I'd rather have four-wheel drive truck and a trailer, a small trailer, than an RV in this situation any day. How about you?
And I agree with that. The criteria that we have for the trailer also makes it what we refer to as nondescript. A small cargo trailer loaded with all the equipment that you need going down the highway could actually be mistaken for a lawn service trailer, or maybe for a contractor. So when people see a very large RV style trailer or even a motorhome like you described, they have a feeling. They know what's inside that unit, and they know that it's kind of a high value target. Our nondescript trailer going down the road could easily be mistaken for just a regular cargo trailer. Nobody really knows what's inside of it. It gives you a little edge in that people are not going to be focusing on you as they would on a large motorhome or a large RV trailer.
Okay, so what we've learned so far in a recap, Bill, if we're building this trailer from let's say we have that trailer at home. We've got I happen to have a trailer here on the farm. It's able to be converted to the kind of tool, if you will, that we're talking about, nondescript. And so the plan is to have it ready to go. Make sure the wheel bearings are, greased, and make sure there's air in the tires, and make sure the trailer's solid and roadworthy, and that the lights will work and all that if for normal circumstances. But it's got to be fully loaded. That's what I'm hearing from you. It's got to be ready to go right now.
It does, and the main function of the trailer is that it gives us a central point to bring all of our supplies, all of our equipment, and tools that we're going to need. And having it ready to go gives us that edge in front of this massive exodus.
Bill, let's build a trailer right now. So
sure.
let's say a person has access to a trailer. How big should it be?
Well, we want a trailer that is compatible with the tow vehicle that's being used. So the trailers that we use for our shell and our frame are 5 foot by 10 foot trailers. They're basically small trailers, and the reason that we use those is because it eliminates the fact that folks have to go out and buy a specialized tow vehicle. Mm-hmm. But we want to make sure that whatever trailer is picked as the starting platform is able to be towed by the vehicle that you have. The beauty of a small trailer is also that it can be moved by hand. Mm-hmm. And that maybe not, at first glance may not seem like an important feature, but in a situation where you are maybe in a wildfire situation or a flood situation, instead of having to take a vehicle and hook up to your trailer in order to move it, you literally can take all of your supplies and move them by hand away from your home that might be on fire, away from rising water, and then basically hook it up and leave.
Mm-hmm. Bill, on our farm we have an 8 by 8 by 20 foot long box trailer. Really hard to navigate, way too long, but we use it for moving a lot of heavy things long distances. We have a 26 foot gooseneck trailer, very heavy to pull. You need a 3/4 ton truck for that. We have a 16 foot twin axle trailer that we use for pulling things around the farm. Still a little big. And we have a 6 foot by 8 foot. And that is handy. I can pick that up. I can walk it around by hand. Exactly what you're talking about. I'm in total agreement. You recommended 5 by 10. I think that's the ideal size. I totally agree. Based on my experience with the trailers that I've pulled in over time. So, what else are we going to put in this trailer when we build it?
Well, we're going to look at all the essential categories of equipment and supplies that we need, and we really can break them down just like any prepper would do in a survival plan. We need the basics of food and water. We need shelter, and we need security. We also need supplies such as medical and dental supplies, and a really nice option in a trailer would be a method of producing electricity. And I say that because if we look back at some of the disasters of kind of the current events, you'll find that in a lot of these situations, folks had very elaborate communication devices. They had cell phones, and they had tablets, and they had laptop computers. And within 6 or 7 hours of the event taking place, all of these communications devices were nothing more than paperweights because there was nothing that they could use to recharge the batteries. So a really nice feature of any survival trailer would be either a solar system or a wind system in order to do passive production of electricity. Those would be the main functions that we would be looking for. And we also want to make sure that in this trailer we have the things that we need for our particular family. Maybe we have a family member that requires medication that has to be refrigerated. Well, the survival trailer would give us the option of actually having a refrigeration unit for that person. These are things that are specific to our family, but the beauty of the survival trailer is that we can tailor make it for our particular needs.
As you were describing this, it sounds absolutely perfect to me. It really does. And I was thinking about a trailer that a guy built that I know. He built a bug-out trailer, and he got a lot of attention. And one of the things that he had in it was a television. And I kind of had to chuckle because that's fine for camping, during the good times. If you want to go camping and have a little TV with you. I don't know why you'd want to have a TV, but I can understand some people who are addicted to television. But the last thing I think I would want to have in a bug-out trailer is a television, because as I mentioned, that the situation here at the farm where when we first bought it, there were shots fired all the time. I think that's what it's going to be like. I think we're going to need to spend every waking moment paying attention to our surroundings. And the last thing that we need is to be distracted by television. Bill Cirmo's with us. Bug in, bug out trailers. And it's BIBOOutfitters.com. BIBO Outfitters.com. We'll be right back.
It's no secret that government and big business buy in bulk and get huge discounts not available to the little guy. Until now. Introducing a breakthrough crowd buying website where people can join together, buy in bulk, and get massive discounts on millions of popular products. It's TogetherSave.com. TogetherSave.com. You can save 20, 30, or even 50% off tablets, smartphones, cars, appliances, textbooks, sports equipment, video games, and much more. All with free delivery. Check it out. TogetherSave.com. Visit now and start group buying today at TogetherSave.com.
This is Dan Pillett. Do you owe the IRS money you can't pay? Are tax debts crippling you? I've defended people from the IRS for over 30 years. I've helped thousands, and I can help you too. I wrote the book on IRS settlement, and I'm telling you, there's no such thing as a hopeless case. Call 800-34-NO-TAX to finally get free of IRS debt. With the IRS's new programs, there's never been a better time to solve your problem. Call 800-34-NO-TAX. That's 800-34-NO-TAX, or my website, danpilla.com.
I'm Vincent Finelli of USAPrepares.com. As most of you know, I broadcast weekday mornings on GCN from 9 to 11. And I'm also a full-time farmer. Add to that mix the weekly meetups and the Get Prepared Expo, and this combination makes for a demanding schedule. On the farm, we raise grass-fed Black Angus cattle and provide them with the best variety of summer and fall grasses available. Our cattle are exposed to the extremes of weather, the toxins in the air, and the electromagnetic radiation that's all around us. So even the best grasses and food that we provide are not enough. Our cattle require minerals and supplements for strong health and resistance to disease. And so do we. For these reasons, my mother, our children, Mrs. Finelli, and I all take Longevity, Beyond Tangy Tangerine, De-Stress, Glucogel, and EFA+. USAPreparesTeam.com. And thank you for being in class today. Class, we're talking about bugging out and getting in front of this wave, this path of destruction, because if you're behind it, there won't be much left. And the plan is to survive for 30 days. Bill, I did a really quick calculation during the break. 2 gallons of water per day. Let's say there are 4 people in our party. That's 8 gallons of water per day, 30 days. Is 240 gallons at 8 pounds per gallon. That's 1,920 pounds. So not only do we have to have some water, we've got to have a way of getting more water, because 2,000 pounds of water, a ton of water, literally, is very, very difficult to bring with us.
One of the discussions I always find myself involved with when I'm talking to folks about preparing themselves to bug in or bug out is portability of their survival equipment and their supplies. I talk very often with folks who are of the homesteader mentality, and they tell me about 55-gallon drums of water and fuel, and my question to them is, how is it that you're going to transport it, just like you just said? So having actual water, no doubt, is a necessity, but having a method of filtering water or of distilling water, if we're in maybe a saltwater environment or a heavy metal environment, is equally important. We need to be able to replenish these supplies as we go along. The same would count for food. I have a lot of folks that grow their own vegetables and they have their own meat supplies, and they'll can these vegetables and meat byproducts, and they'll have an entire pantry full of mason jars, and which is a wonderful situation in a bug-out scenario. But trying to transport glass bottles or trying to transport these very heavy quantities, really impossible. So we always suggest, for example, in our survival trailer that we have a 30-day supply of freeze-dried and dehydrated foods. These are easy to reconstitute. They make it simple to transport. They're very lightweight. Now, if you want to add some additional items, that's not a problem at all. But having that basis for a 30-day supply that you can easily transport is really the key.
And, as I have these mental images, and some of them aren't all that pleasant. And as we're talking about water, I was thinking about a discussion that I had with our water distillation expert, Glenn Meter, and he'll be at the expo as well. And we have, and you have in your trailer a water distillation device, and this is pretty graphic, and I don't know any way to say it without it being this graphic. But if the only thing that you have to drink is urine, or muddy water, or filthy water, with a distiller, you can distill that into absolutely pure water. Doesn't look like you're starting with pure water, but you end up with pure water, and that's a way of surviving. And my understanding is you have Glenn Meter's water distillation device as part of your plan in your trailer. Is that right?
We do. It's one of what we consider an essential item. We operate here out of the North Florida region, and in our area we have a lot of salt water, and there's no filter on the market that will filter out the salt. However, distilling that salt water would give us a ready supply that's virtually endless.
We're going to be giving away a survival still, a water distillation unit at the Get Prepared Expo. Glenn Meter's providing it. He invented it, and you use it, and we're going to be giving one away at the Get Prepared Expo. Class, if you're interested in seeing a finished product of a bug-out trailer, you'll be able to see it, touch it, feel it, experience it at the Get Prepared Expo. And if you need help building one, Bill Cirmo has plans to help you build one. If you want to start with a basic trailer, he's got a basic trailer. You can build it yourself. He'll help you build yours if you have your trailer. Any way you want to do it, or if you want to buy one completely ready to go, he's got that too. All ready to go, fully engineered. He's got the plans, he's got the knowledge, he's done the research, and you can meet him at the expo, and if you're fortunate to get a seat with him at dinner or lunch, you can join him for the banquet meals and his seminars. Bill Cirmo, thanks so much. BeboOutfitters.com. We'll be right back talking about gardening and survival gardening.
You pick up the receiver with your heart racing and sweat dripping from your forehead. You finally muster the courage to dial the number to call into your favorite talk radio show. It rings once, twice, and then...
Hello, it's GCN. What's your name and the state you're calling from?
Surprised you got through, you squeak out.
Jason from Minnesota.
Please hold.
As you patiently wait for your turn, you begin to daydream about being a famous talk radio host and what it would be like to have your own show.
Jason from Minnesota, you're up.
Millions of loyal listeners worldwide waiting to call and talk to you.
Caller, are you there?
Cheering crowds surround you, calling out your name.
Jason! Jason! Going once, twice. Okay, we gotta move on to the next caller.
You blew it.
Huh? Wait, no!
Interact with the host you're listening to right now, online at GCNlive.com. Click on the community link. Engage with other listeners. Ask questions. Start debates. Don't agree with the host? Let them know. Be a part of the community at GCNlive.com.
This alert just came in. This special announcement is for business owners and leaders of organizations who've been waiting for the right time to build. General Steel has made it impossible to wait any longer with rock-bottom prices that could save you thousands. That's right, General Steel, America's leader in pre-engineered structures, is offering buildings at prices you will never see again. Don't miss these prices. A 50 by 100 for $35,000. You heard right. That's 5,000 square feet for $35,000. Manufacturers, if you need a larger building, try a 100 by 100 commercial building for $129,000. You can't afford to rent with these prices. Imagine a 70 by 100 foot church building for under $69,000. With the economy improving and interest rates still at historic lows, you can't afford to wait. So call 866-91-STEEL. Lock in your price now. Call 866-91-STEEL. That's 866-917-8335.
Did you know by age 50, half of all men have an enlarged prostate? This means more urges to urinate, longer bathroom trips, waking at night to urinate, or issues with sex. If this sounds familiar, call us now, because we're shipping free bottles of Super Beta Prostate to listeners of this station. Super Beta Prostate is a non-prescription formula guaranteed to reduce the symptoms of your enlarged prostate. It's yours free. Pay only shipping and handling. Just call 1-800-467-5019. In clinical trials, the ingredient in Super Beta Prostate was shown to reduce urges to urinate, improve bladder emptying, reduce waking at night to urinate, and improve quality of life. This Super Beta Prostate free offer is for listeners of this station, but it won't last. Don't wait. Just call 1-800-467-5019. That's 1-800-467-5019. Call 1-800-467-5019.
Everyone all set? Cocked? Locked? Hour number 2 of USAPrepares.com. I'm delighted to spend the next hour with USAPrepares.com instructor Len Pense. GardeningRevolution.com. GardeningRevolution.com. Len Pense has been with us on the air many times. He comes to the meetups. He's been to every one of our Get Prepared Expos. This will be Expo number 7. You get a chance to meet him in person, have dinner with him, have lunch with him. He'll be at the banquet dinners. You'll be able to go to his seminars. And let me tell you just a little bit about his seminars. Now, I have planned most expos to speak at the Get Prepared Expo. I put myself right on the calendar, right in the schedule. And Len Pense has so many people in his seminars that they say, hey, I couldn't get in. It was standing room only and I still couldn't get in. Can we have him again? I go, yeah, we can do that. I know a guy who's going to give up his seminar so that you can see Len Pense. So I give up my seminar, my slot, so Len Pense can speak. That's how good Len Pence's seminar is. Len, it's delightful to have you on the broadcast with me. Welcome.
Well, glad to be here, Vince. I'm looking forward to our new venture out there at the Calvin Center, and we should have a good crowd.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And by the way, for those who are new to our broadcast, Len Pense has a radio show in Springfield, Missouri, and he broadcasts on a very powerful AM station that covers a wide area. And you're on the same radio station as Rush Limbaugh, and you do a good job, and people love you. So I'm so glad you're here. Len, you know, your specialty is taking a small area and turning it into a garden that just grows more food per square inch than just about any garden on the planet, right?
That's right. We can get 4 to 5 times the amount of produce that you will get out of the same space digging in the dirt in a dirt garden. It's that much more productive. And it'll be the highest nutrients and best taste you've ever had, with about 5% of the work.
Okay, so I mean, those are all pluses, and so if you know, Len, a lot of people have tried gardening, and they make a lot of mistakes. You know, one mistake that I have seen over and over and over again. And this goes all the way back to the 1960s. People will put their garden in the back corner of their property. They'll say, well, there's an area that, you know, it won't mess up, you know, badminton. It won't mess up playing in the yard. So we'll put it out of the way. It's so far out of the way that nobody goes there. Nobody goes there to water it. Nobody goes there to pay attention to it. And maybe they don't even pay attention to, does it get any sun? And that's absolutely required. So there are some considerations about where you put your garden, how close the garden is to your access. And if let's just assume your garden is going to be successful. Let's make that assumption. If your garden is successful, you're going to be carrying food out of your garden. So why not make it closer so you don't have to carry it so far? What do you think,
Vince, there's 2 reasons why you should watch the where you put that garden. Number one, you're right on target. If Mama's cooking, she don't want to walk 2 football fields away to get an onion.
Right.
But the second reason is you need to put it as close to your back door for that reason. And the real reason is you got to keep an eye on your garden. That's your life support when the trucks quit running. You've got to have a sustainable food source. And it's that garden. Now you've got food, nobody else does. You put it up close where you can, in military terms, put it in your field of fire as close to the house as you can get it.
Mm-hmm. Len, you've been talking about growing gardens in your classroom at your farm for years. And my understanding is that and I've been to your classroom. I've been to your canning operation. I've seen I've seen the results of your system. It absolutely works. What do your students think about the technique compared to what they've been taught previously? And then after you tell us that, let's get into the technique.
Okay. I get calls virtually every day, people thanking me for introducing this type of garden. Mm-hmm. Our society today has gotten so busy that people don't have time to go out and spend hours every evening hoeing weeds and things. Mm-hmm. And with this system, of course, we don't have any weeds because we don't plant them. Mm-hmm. And
you know that.
So that's one of the big deals. They can grow all this food, have wonderful, nourishing food that far exceeds anything you can even attempt to buy in a store, mm-hmm. and no weeds. So, the Amish are my biggest customers. They took one look at this about 10 or 11 years ago when I first started, and boing, a light bulb come on in their brain, and they thought, man, all the time we're spending out there hoeing in that garden, we could be doing something else with this. And they mm-hmm. buy it by the truckload. Mm-hmm. We started teaching this 11 years ago. Didn't intend to teach it. I built my garden because one day I was sitting in a meeting up at Langley at CIA headquarters, and we all decided, hey, this country's not in good shape. Mm-hmm. So I came back to Springfield, and we had a big home here. We had 5 bedrooms and 4 baths and 3 living areas and everything that 2 people need. And told my wife, we got to get out of Dodge. So we looked for 3 years and found this place out here on top of an Ozark mountain, remote, with one way in and out. I picked the high ground, and we started building beds so that when this thing crashes on us, which it looks like it could do any time, that our 5 kids would have a place to come home to and food to eat. Mm-hmm. At that time, I did not intend for anyone to know where I was or what I was doing. And then one day, they caught me downtown buying more stuff, and the head agronomist asked me what I was doing out there, and I said, you can come out and look, but you can't tell anybody. If you do, I have to shoot you. So he came out and looked, said, I never saw anything like it. He said, I've got a radio show, KWTO in Springfield, same one I broadcast on now every Wednesday. And he said, got an hour show, said, come on and just talk about what you're doing, and we won't tell anybody where you're at. I said, okay. So I went down, and we started the show, and people started calling in. How can we do that? How can we do that? And about 40 minutes into the show, someone reached down, hit me in the head with a ball bat, said, I gave you this knowledge, now share it. Mm-hmm. So I said, yes, sir. And I opened my mouth and said, Bill, I'm going to teach classes. I had never even thought about teaching classes. When that happened, the switchboard jammed. We signed up 67 people for classes during that hour show. And now we're shipping stuff all over the United States, and missionaries have taken it into 7 foreign countries. So that's how it all started. People love it. And right now, I don't do, other than the radio show, I do no advertising, and except have booths that, like you're getting ready to put up there. And that's the best advertising in the world. That's a good group of people that'll be coming to that.
Mm-hmm. Well, Len, did I exaggerate when I said that that your seminar is wall-to-wall packed, standing room only?
It always has been. Every place I've ever spoken, it's standing room only, and then overflow, from there.
Yep.
People are interested, and when they see it, they're just absolutely dumbfounded. I've got a truck coming in about 11:30 today to load out for Oklahoma. A county down there is buying 70 beds, and I have a county up in Illinois that's got a lot of beds, and they hire their handicapped people to work them, and they pay them for it. Then they let them take that money and buy the vegetables to take home. Mm-hmm. So they're feeding them, and everybody's happy. Got a hospital that bought 13 beds just to feed their staff with, so that their staff would stay healthy. It's amazing. Vince, I think the biggest compliment I ever had, I got a call from a lady in Georgia, and she said, "Len, I want to talk to you about using your gardening method with my blind, deaf students." And I thought, no, wait a minute. They can't see, they can't hear, and they want to garden? I said, I don't see how that would be possible. She said, I just got off the phone with the Helen Keller Institute in New York City. They are using your method, and you come highly recommended. I said, well, how are they doing it? She said, they're planting aromatic herbs in different parts of the garden, and the kids can navigate it.
Awesome. Absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
One of the guys who is planning to be at the Get Prepared Expo, his name is Sam Bushman. And he was blind from birth. He is absolutely brilliant. As a matter of fact, this broadcast is carried on his network on a tape delay, Monday through Friday, 2 hours. He has senses, he has abilities that are far beyond just about everybody. So it's wonderful to see that this technique is being used, and that means that everybody can do it. Everybody, top to bottom, left to right.
Yeah.
Well, Len, you talk about.
We have a lot of people coming through here in wheelchairs and little motorized scooters.
You talk about beds. Now, we're not talking about beds you sleep in. We're talking about gardening beds. When we come back, we're going to tell you the size that you should consider making your raised bed garden. We're going to tell you the dimensions. We're going to talk about pH. We're going to talk about amendments. We're going to talk about what to plant and what to expect, and how much you should plant to feed your family. We'll be right back.
Hunters, anglers, campers, and survivalists. Get back to nature. Expand your horizons with the highest quality, most versatile, unique slingshots and sling bows on the market at slingbow.com. Sling bow products are compact and models start from just $17.98. They're perfect for your bug out bag or storing in your vehicle. Give yourself and your loved ones the excitement and tradition of sling bow. A new frontier in archery and truly modern twist on this primitive survival tool. Feel the thrill only at slingbow.com.
We've been patiently waiting while you tried to ignore us, waiting while you acted like we didn't exist, waiting for our chance to be taken seriously. The wait is over. GCN is available 24/7 at GCNlive.com. Navigate through news from your favorite hosts and download archives of past shows. Download the app on your smartphone or tablet or visit GCNlive.com for instant access and live streaming. GCNlive.com, the future of talk radio, now at your fingertips.
Class, Len Pense is with us, and we're talking about survival gardening. And we're going to describe exactly how to build these gardens. Len, you talk about beds, and we're talking about raised bed gardening. And one of the things that I'd like to tell everybody that when you build a raised bed garden, don't use railroad ties. They've been treated with creosote. Don't use pressure-treated lumber. It's been treated with chemicals that you do not want to ingest. So you're going to need to build them out of something else. And Len's going to tell us what they need to be built with, and he's going to tell us the size of them and the number of them and why. And this is really, really brilliant information. If you follow this prescription, you will probably have an awesome garden. So, Len, let's start with the size. How big is the garden?
The standard bed that we use for measurement is a 4-foot by 16-foot, Vince, and that's inside planting dimensions. And we build these out of concrete blocks. There are several reasons for that. Number one, they're easy to work with. We don't mortar them. We just stack them 2 blocks high, which gives us 16 inches depth to plant our stuff in. And there's nothing in them to leach out to hurt you in any way. So that's what we start with. And it takes 64 concrete blocks to build a 4 by 16-foot bed. You can figure on food production about 1.5 beds per person, and that will feed you. Now, you need to think about building them larger than that, because when this thing hits the fan, food is going to be number one, and you need bartering equipment, and you can't get anything better than having food. So that's what we start with, the 4 by 16. Now, all your seed packets tell you the same thing, does best in loose, well-drained soil. That's not the dirt in most areas. So I come up with a formula of using cotton burr compost, rice hulls, and peat moss. And when you mix them at the right ratio, you will end up with a pH of 7, which is right where you want to be. And these beds are loose enough that I can go out there right now and stick my hand clear to the bottom of the bed and pull out a potato. It's that loose. Then we feed these beds with a product that we call essential elements. Actually, it's all made from plants. Everything in the bed is made from plants. And the essential elements actually turned out to be a 5-5-5 organic fertilizer. But the key to it is that they contain about 42 trace elements: iron, zinc, manganese, copper, sulfur, boron, and so forth. So that basically is what we mix and what we put in. And we don't do rows anymore. You never step in your bed. They're 4 foot wide, and you can sit on the edge of those 2 concrete blocks and reach over 2 feet and work your bed for planting or harvesting or whatever. So that basically is what we do.
So Len, let's recap this, because it's worth repeating. The beds are 4 feet wide, inside dimensions.
Yes.
And the reason I'm saying that is you really can reach from the side of the bed. You can just kind of sit on the edge of the bed and reach anywhere in the bed and without stepping on it. So you're not compressing the soil. You're not damaging the roots. You're using concrete blocks, and you can loosely stack them. If you want, you can mortar, every few blocks, just to hold it together if you want to, but you don't even have to do that. And then, Len, you've got this spacing where you can make a hoop house out of it. You can take some PVC pipe and put it in the cores of the blocks and make hoops, and then apply plastic to that to protect your garden from whatever's in the sky, these chemicals that are sprayed, the aluminum and the barium and so forth. You can protect your plants if you want to do that also, correct?
It would even protect them from fallout due to, one of our plants blowing up or whatever. But yes, and you just touched on something there with the hooks. So many people think gardening is just plant it in the spring and harvest it in early summer, and that's it for the year. And that is way off the target. This is a year-round food source.
Let's talk more about that when we come back with Len Pense, GardeningRevolution.com. And you can meet him at the expo.
We live in a complicated society. Stressful issues are always popping up. Have you ever been treated unfairly by someone? Have you ever been overcharged for a repair? Have you ever signed a contract or a document worried about identity theft? How many times have you been in those unique situations where you just wanted to call an attorney to find out if you're right or wrong, or what your legal rights are? But every time you think about calling an attorney, what do you think about first? That's right. Who do you call? And how much will it cost? Our friends at Legal Shield have found a solution. With a nationwide network of 6,900 attorneys who average 19 years of experience, Legal Shield's law firms take over 40,000 calls per week helping their members. For less than $20 per month, you can have access to Legal Shield on everything from the trivial to the traumatic. Let Legal Shield stand up for your rights at lsprotection.com. That's lsprotection.com. Or call 855-340-SAVE, 855-340-7283.
Results will vary from case to case.
Don't complain about your cable bill going up and up and up. Do something about it. Grab a pencil and jot down this special number, 1-855-905-MY-TV. The more cable TV rates go up, the better digital satellite TV looks. Say goodbye to the cable guy and get more of your favorite channels in 100% digital quality for less money. Call 1-855-905-MY-TV. Sign up for packages starting as low as $19.99, and there's no equipment to buy. You get free HD TV upgrade, a free DVR upgrade, and free professional installation. You control what you watch when you watch it. Record your favorite shows. Pause and rewind live TV. Even skip the commercials. Watch local channels too. At just $19.99, what are you waiting for? Pull out your major credit or debit card. Call 1-855-905-MY-TV. 1-855-905-MY-TV. Say goodbye to the cable guy. Cut costs and get more. 1-855-905-MY-TV. 1-855-905-MY-TV.
Worried about getting sick and feeling terrible for days or even weeks? You need Immudyne for a healthy immune system. Why get sick and bother with products that just don't work? For just $1 a day, Immudyne is all natural and safe for all lifestyles. Call 866-257-8668 to buy now before it's too late, before you get sick. Or go to IMMUDYNE.com, Immudyne.com, or call 866-257-8668.
Class, I'm delighted to be on the air with Len Pense, GardeningRevolution.com. His gardening system actually works. I mean, it really, really works. And if you were to get a weed or two, which is very, very rare, you can pick them out with your fingers. Literally. I'm not talking, you don't need tools. You can literally, with your thumb and forefinger, you can just gently pull out a weed if it were to happen. But if you follow the system, you won't have weeds. And we've been talking about year-round gardening. And so the plan is to build this 4-foot wide inside dimension by 16-foot raised bed out of concrete blocks. You can stagger the blocks so that the structure is stronger. And you can insert, every maybe 4 feet or so, a piece of PVC pipe inside the blocks, and you can put some dirt in there to hold it, or you could add concrete mix and make a hole with this piece of pipe so you can put a hoop over the garden, and you can attach your plastic to that, and then you can have year-round gardening. Len Pense, can you tell us, you talked about the pH. Some of the secrets are composting, right? So going forward for next year, how do we amend the soil so it has the nutrients to grow with the same yield of growing this year?
Well, that's a very, very important question, Vince. A lot of people don't even think about what's going to happen when the trucks quit running. And that's what's going to happen, of course, when we lose our power grid due to a cyber attack. Now, if the trucks aren't running, everything they've got came to them by truck. So nothing is moving. They can't come and get this stuff. I don't even have this stuff at that point. Everybody will have bought it all. But you don't need me. You don't need anybody. All you've got to do is learn to compost. Composting dry leaves crumbled up. The dry leaves contain 80% of the nutrients that your plants need. Now, throw in a couple of cow chips, which we normally wouldn't use, but we're in survival mode now, and the cow chips and the dried leaves become the brown part of your compost. Now you put 3 parts green to 1 part brown, and stir it every day or every so often, and it'll heat up to 160 degrees and break down. In a compost tumbler, it'll break down in about 2 weeks in the summertime. And you add that to your bed, the 160 degrees kills all the weed seeds that was in the cow patties you tossed in. It also kills all the pathogens. No more E. coli or salmonella to worry about. And all you have to do is add 2 or 3 inches of that to your top of your garden each year, and you're home free. You don't need me or anybody.
Mm-hmm.
It is a sustainable survival garden.
Len Pense, when you say 3 parts green to 1 part brown, the 1 part would be the cow chips. And,
well, 1 part would be your ground up leaves and the cow chips. That's the brown part.
Okay.
Oh, by the way, dry cow chips.
Mm-hmm.
Don't go out barefooted. Okay.
Yeah.
And the green part is your bean vines, your leaves off your cabbage and lettuce and stuff. Anything green like that. And that's what you mix. And that 3 parts green to 1 part of your brown will start the works going. And you'll come up with some real good stuff in just a very short period of time, and add 2 or 3 inches to your bed, and that's all you need.
There you go. Now, this cow chips, can we replace the cow chips? And we're talking about cow manure class. And you can, if you have some, you can spread it out and have it decompose faster. You can use horse manure, goat manure, and what about chicken manure?
Well, let's back up. I don't like to use horse. The urine in it's going to mess up your pH of your garden. Mm-hmm. I use sheep is best, mm-hmm. and then cow, and then goats and rabbits. I don't use, you could use very lightly, and I mean real lightly, chicken, but chicken is high in nitrogen. It's too hot, and you don't need that much nitrogen in your garden. You need more phosphorus and potash.
Yeah, and the reason I mentioned those things is that, we may not be able to have cow manure. Not everybody has cows. They require some fencing, and they're a different animal to raise than a smaller animal. And some people may have horses, Len, because they may have that plan B to get around.
Well, if they have horses, they need to put it in a separate pile and leave it for 3 or 4 years, and then they can use it.
There you go. Okay, we've got Kyle from Montana. Kyle, you're on with Len Pense and me, Vince Finelli. Welcome.
Yeah, good morning, Vince, and I wanted to thank you on the air for sending me that nitro. But I had a question for him.
Kyle, you broke up. I didn't hear what you said. I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. I just wanted to thank you for sending that Nitro Extreme. That's helping my wife. We're going to keep using it and see what kind of long-term effects it has, but I just wanted to thank you very much.
You're certainly welcome.
But I had a question for him. When he builds his bed, do you put anything in the bottom of that bed? I don't know if I missed that or not, but do you put like Weed Be Gone or cardboard or something in the bottom of the bed to keep, like we have quaggrass out here, and that stuff will just grow right up through anything and everything. You got roots that are 8 feet long sometimes. I'm just wondering, how do you keep things from growing like on the outside of the bed through and into the bed?
Okay. Yes, we do. The first thing, actually, that you would put down is if you have moles, and a lot of people have moles or vols, and you'll need to put down 1/2-inch square cloth. That's galvanized cloth just under the growing area. You don't have to go out under the blocks with it, just under the 4x16 area. Then on top of that, and extending out about 3 or 4 feet all the way around the beds, you put your landscape mat. If you can't get it big enough for one piece, then buy a 4-foot roll and overlap it a foot. But we put that down, and then we build our bed on top of that. The only problem you will have will be with Bermuda grass. And if you do that, then it's a whole new ball game, and we'll have to go into something else for that. But that's basically what you would do up in your area. You don't have Bermuda up there.
No, that's true. Now the landscape mat you're talking about, is that kind of a rubberized?
No, it's a cloth, and all the gardening places have it. And just in a big roll, and it's a cloth that you can breathe through, or water and air can go through it, but weeds and grass can't come up through it.
Okay.
Kyle, you can think of this like window screening. Typically, it's black, it's flexible, it's lightweight, and water will go right through it. But the weeds have a tough time coming up through it. And one of the things that, Len, we should probably address is the reason that you want to expand the area beyond the outside of the blocks is so that weeds can't jump into the garden. And if you mow your lawn, you certainly don't want, if your lawn is around the garden, you certainly don't want the discharge chute aiming at the garden.
You mow counterclockwise.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You mow counterclockwise so the discharge chute sends the grass away from the garden, because in those grass clippings may be seeds that you will have to deal with later. So if you follow this prescription of keeping the raised bed garden about 3 feet clear of grass from the outside of the blocks, and you mow your lawn counterclockwise, and you don't put grass clippings in the garden, you won't have weeds.
One thing, Vince, that I have found living where I do is that keeps the weeds down really well is we'll find carpet at the dump.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you can just pick that up, and we put 2 layers of that down. And my goodness, it's done a great job so far. It's been like we've been doing it now for, 5 or 6 years. I just happened to think about it when I saw all this carpet being thrown away. And, you don't care what kind of condition it's in as long as it's, in one piece. And we put the carpet down, 2 layers of it, and it's worked real well.
Okay, let me say something about that. That will work, but what chemicals are in the base of that carpet and in the fibers and the colors and what's it been treated with? That's what I would be concerned about there.
Okay.
Kyle, let me address that. In Virginia, there was a textile plant, and I was talking to the editor of a newspaper there, and he said, Yeah. When we were children, we'd play in the stream, downstream from that textile plant. And whenever they used that red dye, we could go and pick out the mercury out of the creeks and streams. They could pick out mercury, literally pick out, that silvery metal, mercury, out of the streams and collect it as a result of the process of dyeing carpets and textiles red. So Len Pense has an absolutely important point that he's made about we don't know what chemicals are used, and that's why I haven't used. I don't even use newspapers. Now I've heard people say, "Yeah, you can use newspapers," but where did the paper come from? Is it used from cardboard? And cardboard, you just can put cardboard down. Well, I haven't used that either because the cardboard, I don't know where it came from. What was in the cardboard box that leached into the cardboard box before it was recycled 3, 4, and 5 times to become this new cardboard box that I might put down in my garden, which would cause the plants to uptake whatever that was, and then ultimately we would consume it. So we are really, really careful about what we put in the garden, and I've got to tell you, I really like Len Pence's solution with this landscaping fabric. So just my thoughts. Kyle, did you have something else?
No, thank you. This is really, really good. I never thought about that.
Hey, Kyle, I hope we're going to get a chance to see you at the expo. I got a lot of calls asking about you, and I'm not kidding. Len Pense, and I'll be right back.
Thanks, Ben.
You're welcome.
You ever hear about Ghost 80% AR-15 rifle kits? At Guns80.com, they are the 80% specialists, helping to protect our privacy. Look, there are forces out there right now trying to register guns for future confiscation. UN treaties threatening our Second Amendment, our freedom. You need a Ghost AR-15. Get it at Guns80.com. Call 844-2GUNS80. That's 844-248-6780. Own an AR-15 today and keep it a secret. Go to guns80.com. That's guns80.com. 8442-GUNS80.
Hi, this is Steve Spillum for Midas Resources. In 1971, President Nixon took the United States off the gold standard and put us into a fiat currency. This allowed Congress and the Federal Reserve to create trillions of dollars out of thin air. The national debt has risen to incredible heights, and your hard-earned dollars by a small fraction of what they once did. The average life expectancy for a fiat currency is 27 years. The dollar is failing and on borrowed time. When currencies fall, people turn to gold and silver because gold and silver have been real money for more than 5,000 years. It is our mission at Midas Resources to help you preserve your capital. Don't let your personal savings shrink to nothing. For important free information on how you can protect your personal wealth, contact me, Steve Spillum, at 1-800-686-2237, extension 308. Call today while we are still accepting dollars for gold and silver. 1-800-686-2237, extension 308. Make a change in your financial security today. That's 1-800-686-2237, extension 308.
Good people need help. The Homeowners Association said we had weeds and fined us $25. We told them they had the wrong house. They said if we didn't pay it, they'd file a lien. Our attorney demanded photographs, witnesses, and told them if they couldn't provide this, they must cease and desist. Issue solved. Worry less and live more with lsprotection.com. That's lsprotection.com or call 855-340-SAVE. That's 855-340-7283.
Results will vary from case to case.
Class, just a short announcement during the last segment. We've got a meetup on Monday at Jimmy's Egg. We're going to be showing a movie about fluoride. It will change your life. You'll need to watch this. You're all invited, unless, of course, you're a politician. And that's at Jimmy's Egg at 4:45 to 8 o'clock on Monday. Also, we're going to be talking about the Bob Estep situation, and we're all going to a meeting at the Alderman's meeting at City Hall on Tuesday. And if you'd like to go to that, that's 6:30 in Sparta, Missouri. Len, Pense, we have Rich from Montana. Rich, I wanted to thank you. I received a DVD about your lifestyle, how you live off the grid, and it was absolutely fabulous. Mrs. Finelli and I watched it last night, and we were riveted to the screen. I'm not kidding. It was really, really well done, and it shows, the hunting, the fishing, the alternative energy, and the relaxed environment that a person could live if they choose to do what you've done, jump off the corporate ladder and move to the middle of nowhere. So welcome, Rich Shealy. Thanks for calling in.
Well, thank you, Vince. I really appreciate that. And Len, really good information you're giving today. And I know time is short, but I think what you're doing is definitely a community service, because I think most people should have at least a little plot of ground in their backyard, even if they live in suburban America, and try to get away from the GMO foods and take in a lot of the control their vitamins, minerals, and especially enzymes, which most people are not even aware of. And so kudos to you.
Well, thank you. I'd like to see your DVD. As a matter of fact, I have a 4-disc set. I'll swap you.
Oh, sounds good. Sounds good. Yeah. You can go to my website, offgridmontana.com, and see some information about the book and how some of the messages in the book and how we live. But I'm a huge proponent of heirloom seeds, open pollinated.
Absolutely.
I just read an article, Len, just a matter of days ago, where 96% of the Monsanto shareholders don't want the GMO ingredients to be exposed. So we're at the point that dollars trump people's health, and we need to do something about that and be proactive.
Well, we've passed that point a long time ago, unfortunately. And right now, they've got a problem with Monsanto. The weeds have developed an immunity to Roundup, so they are building a new class of vegetables and wheat and so forth that will withstand a stronger chemical. And the stronger chemical they're planning on using is 2,4-D, 2,4,5-T, better known as Agent Orange. And that's what people are going to be eating if they don't grow it themselves.
Well, they can already put bacteria, antibiotics, and herbicides like Roundup in the plants and seeds. And cancer rates, or what people are dying of cancer by the rate of 1 out of 2 of us. In other words, 50%. Where in 1900 it was 1 out of 60. So I hope people are waking up. I believe they are. And again, I congratulate you on what you're doing as a community service for our nation. And I know you only have a few minutes left in your show. I tried to get through earlier, Vince. I could not do that. So I'll let you guys finish up. Lynn, congratulations. Vince, thank you for the kudos on the DVD. I really appreciate it, buddy. Tell Sandy thank you as well. And we'll be talking to you later.
Rich, thanks so much for
Okay,
being with
they
us.
can get more information if they will go to my website, gardening with an ING, gardeningrevolution.com. And it'll be amazing, the pictures and things you'll see there. Most people, of course, like to raise tomatoes in the garden, and the record amount of tomatoes with my growing method is held by a gentleman down in Arkansas. Vince, he got 274 pounds from one plant.
You know, Len, it sounds like you're making these wild claims. Class, I have a business card of Len's. He's on a ladder and he can't reach the top of a plant, literally over 16 feet tall. Class, if you want to experience the knowledge, the learning about how to do this, the Get Prepared Expo. And that's the last weekend in March. Tickets are available right now on the website, usaprepares.com. Click on the Shop tab. And you can have dinner with Len Pense. Go to his seminars and talk to him in person about how to do it. Class, above all, honesty and integrity. What happens next is up to you.